Hi there, and welcome to SaaS Copywriting Review, where we briefly review SaaS websites as examples to help other SaaS companies improve their websites and other sales and marketing copy. Today, we'll be reviewing Enterprise. So let's start with the header. What I expect to see in the header is to understand what this company does and what the value of that is. And boy, do I understand. This conveys that information for sure. There is just a readability problem. So we don't really want this many words in the H1. It makes it tough to read. Even with the colors to help you, it's still tough to read. Fairly simple solution to that. What I would do is I would break out some of these points of value into what we call a value stack. If you're not familiar with it, it's basically three statements or boxes underneath the header section where we point out three aspects of value that this offering provides. So what I would do is one of them would be create proposals quickly. One would be ensure financial compliance. And the other would be share data across teams. And I'm getting that from the subhead here, where it's talking about how we ensure that all these teams have the data they need. So that way we can get some of this out of the H1. And what do we have left? Well, we'd want to have an H1 that distills down the central message here. And what I'm getting, both from the copy in the header and the copy throughout, is that the central message is that this is a pricing system or a price book that improves organizational efficiency. It's not just about improving the sales team's efficiency. It's about improving the efficiency of a lot of different teams across the organization. So I would have that be my primary message, using whatever keywords people are searching on in this space, whether it's price book or pricing system or whatnot. But basically that this is a pricing system that improves organizational efficiency. The other thing I see in this header is that there's two calls to action. One is more bold than the other, so it makes me almost think that this is the primary call to action and this is the secondary. But both of the wording for both of them can be improved. So get started in any context is vague. I'm not sure what that means, but in the context of an offering that involves a SaaS system, in this case, it's a little bit disconcerting because I think get started for a SaaS system might mean I can pay and sign myself up and start using the system out of the box. And in this case, that is not what it means. A lot of the value they're offering here is that for these enterprise level companies, we go in and do an analysis and create a custom solution just for you. So even though this button does not in any way try to get me to self onboard, it goes to a contact form. We don't even want to give that impression, with what we're talking about here. Then chat with the team is it's very informal for this B2B context. It can sound a little bit frivolous, like we're just gonna chat, have a friendly chat, talk about the weather. And of course, that's not what it means here, but words matter. They convey a certain impression. So I would have one call to action, and not sure why you would need chat with the team and basically a contact form. So I would have one, and rather than calling it contact us or something like that, I would convey the value that they would get out of reaching out. Whether that's get a systems review or plan your custom solution or get an estimate, whatever is appropriate for this company's sales process and in this situation, I would use that, because reaching out in this kind of context with companies that are going to have this many decision makers, reaching out is a big step. So let's, make it clear what they're going to get out of it. Moving down, we have a very nice outline here of the problems that this target market faces with their existing pricing systems. It really shows that you understand this audience, you get what they're going through, and you have the expertise that you can come up with a solution. But the only thing I can improve is this title here is a little bit too broad. So enterprise sales organizations do sometimes run into problems, and they run into problems that have nothing to do with their pricing system. So let's be specific. Let's say, these are the problems with existing pricing systems for enterprise sales organizations, something to that effect. Let's narrow it down. Then we have, this basically is a section summarizing the plan for how to do business together, for how to get started with your system. And normally I like to see these boiled down to, a small number of simplified steps. But in this context, I love it. I love the amount of thoroughness here, because you're dealing with a target audience that understands the complexity of what they need. And this kind of a process shows that you're going to hold their hand from start to finish, give them a turnkey solution. You have a well-defined process. You know what you're doing. You know what you're biting off to chew. I think this is nice. And then here they can learn even more about that process and what it looks like. So down here, we have some sections where we've basically grouped different things that the system can do for you. Under we cut the time from request to revenue. So of course, this is a wonderful benefit to emphasize. And then we've got more here. What I can say though is that in general, the top two sections do a good job of in the copy focusing on the value of the features rather than the features themselves. So for example, we have, ensure that implementation and finance have the data they need. Cut time from request to revenue, although that kind of duplicates what we said above, but it's about the value, create robust estimates and proposals quickly. Okay, so that's nice. But then we've got screenshots, and I think this may be a level of detail that's a bit much for a homepage. And with this type of situation, you also run into situation, where somebody reading this, for example, on this screenshot, I see total beds per patient day cost. So obviously this was for a customer in the healthcare sector, but that might put other people off to maybe think that that's what you focus on, and you don't want to necessarily, have people think that's your target when it's not. It's much more broad than that. So that's one of many reasons I think why this is a bit much for a homepage and belongs more on a features page where this level of detail is appreciated. The call to action here, make complex proposals simple. It's a little confusing. I don't know if I click on this button, I don't know if maybe I'm going to go to an educational page about how this works. In reality, what happens is I go to a contact form. Of course, I want to make complex proposals simple, but I need to know what you're asking me to do and be straightforward about it as well. So here we have another section where we talk about different benefits of the system, ensure workflow processes are followed, have these integrations. Again, I like it because it's focused on the result, not necessarily the feature itself. But again, we've got screenshots. We also have a couple sad little orphaned items here. So customized order forms it's too much detail. I think that's very feature specific. Integrated in your tools, you don't need to say that here because you say it here. And then we've got see example proposals, example estimates. That's neat. I think that's great. Again, to show what the system can do in the end result. This section, so of course it's great that this can be customized to your products and services. The text underneath here is a little, it's a little oblique. So we say every organization is different, but despite those differences, there are consistencies across all industries. Well, true and true. But what are you getting at? I think what they're trying to say is that because of these consistencies across industries, we can take a software solution and tweak it to your use case relatively simply. But that's more a benefit for this team, not necessarily the customer. The fact that these commonalities make it easier for you to do what you need to do for the customer is not of necessarily direct interest to them. So I don't know if that's what they're trying to say, but whatever they were trying to say, it should be customer centric and framed in terms of the benefit to them. Then we've got another grouping of things the system can do. Okay, and then we have what's actually a fourth section. And by the way, I think why I hesitated there is because these top two sections are separated by this section. So there's a little bit of organizational issues. I would keep these four sections together rather than having them split up by whatever the message of this one is. But with this fourth one, this is interesting because I didn't realize this was a fourth section of benefits because I see bullets and screenshots, and now I see paragraphs and bullets. When I saw the paragraphs, what I thought this was going to be was an origin story of the company, of basically what was this system built to do? What was the crux of the motivation? What is the reason that this exists? And it turns out this is actually just one more aspect of the value of the system. It's not, the central story. So be careful when you deviate formats. It just a simple formatting change can really change emphasis and expectations. And when the reader expects something but then doesn't get it, even if what they get is of equal value, it makes them, it adds to the mental burden and it increases the chances that they'll disengage. Then we have frequently asked questions, which are nice to have. My main comment here is that one of the answers here indicates another reason not to have screenshots above. So it says, we take a consultative approach. Then we implement a software solution when necessary. It also says we're a tech-enabled services company. So given that, I think screenshots are way too much detail for this page because it kind of downplays the services aspect and may not be what you need to emphasize how custom these solutions are to the customer. Then on the bottom, we have, are you ready to improve your sales team's efficiency? And of course, that's a perfectly nice thing to say, but it undersells the value of this offering, I think. Let's say, are you ready to improve efficiency across your company? Because this system may not improve the efficiency of every team at the company, but a lot of them. So let's play it up. And then we've got this CTA. It needs to be made consistent throughout the page. Also, talk to sales, could definitely be framed in a more appealing way. Like I said, probably by emphasizing what they're going to get out of it. Then we also, what's missing here is something on the homepage to establish some authority. And for this type of offering, I would say a case study would be fantastic. Show, how you went about this for a particular customer. What was their ROI? What were the complexities and challenges, and how did you overcome them? That would be wonderful here. So, I hope that this example was helpful, particularly if you have a relatively complex offering or in the B2B space. I hope that there were some insights from this that could be applicable to your work. So, let us know in the comments what insights were helpful and what adjustments you'd like to make in your own copy based on what we talked about and the tips that you learned. And also like and subscribe because we're going to keep on with this series. So make sure not to miss the ones that are coming up. Thanks a lot.